Hope Cook with Dermcast TV. Today we have the managing editor of JDPA, Angela Saba, and the deputy editor of JDPA, Jennifer Winter. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. Angela has 10 years of experience in medical publishing and a background in journalism. And Jennifer is a practicing dermatology physician assistant, and she lives in Washington. So I'd love to talk about why dermatology PAs specifically should consider writing for a journal.
Sure. So I'm going to let Jennifer speak about the importance of PAs getting involved in research and writing and publishing as it relates to advancing the field and the Derm PA community. But my answer as an editor and just from some of the contributors to the JDPA, I actually polled them and asked them what motivates them to publish and what are some reasons. And we got some really great responses, and a few of them I'll just, go over. Megan Dosher said that she is involved in writing and publishing because it allows her to use her license and knowledge to be the best that she can be as a Derm PA.
Yes, it does push you a little bit further if you have to find references and, look at the other literature out there.
Yes, and Mallory Aycock responded that she got involved in writing and publishing during PA school, and then now she is a faculty member and she mentors students. And Jennifer can speak to that also, that you never know what your future will hold. And if it is in teaching PAs, mentoring, writing, and just putting together your thoughts on paper is a large part of that.
Yes. Jennifer, you've published before?
I have. I've published both in the JDPA and the Journal of the American Academy of PAs. And publishing for an individual has benefits because it gets your name out there. You're able to then add that information to your CV.
Sure.
People may seek you out because of the topic that you wrote about. If they have an opportunity for research or some further publication, because of being published before in journals, I've had the opportunity to participate in editing a textbook, for example, those kinds of things. And so there may be personal benefits to being published that way. As far as professional, bigger, global sort of benefits, PAs for the longest time have been in the shadows, working under or, in sort of instead of the physicians that we work with. And we've been hidden in the billing, we've been hidden in the documentation, and we're just sort of invisible providers. And that we have to stop doing that. We put on our big girl panties and move on out there and just be visible in the world. We need to get PAs into research. Then those PAs need to publish that research. We need to get PAs publishing articles, case studies, all of it, so that the dermatology world and even the world at large, if you want to publish, for example, in the JAPA, so that other specialties can see a derm-related article. We need to get PAs out there as experts in our field.
Yeah, we have the experience, we have the knowledge, so it's sort of our moral obligation to share that knowledge.
Absolutely.
Now, what about for our listeners who say, I'm not a writer? What do you tell those people?
Well, we have a couple of options. If they just cannot write, but they have a story to tell, we can do sort of ghostwriting, if you will, interview and have somebody write up that article. We can do that. If they simply are not going to move forward with writing, but again, they've got information they want out there, that's an option. But I would say to anybody who's graduated with a master's, you've already done it.
Yes,
you've already written that article. You just have to do it again for a new topic. It's not as difficult as it seems. And we have resources. Angela can speak to the resources that we have to help people with editing and topics and research, we can help.
And there are also online programs now that are free that can help with the getting your references all lined up. And a lot of people seem to get stuck in the details, and they're like, I just don't know how to do that part of it.
Sure.
But now there's so many resources out there. You were mentioning a few of the.
Yes. Well, the main message of the session this morning was to let attendees know, particularly Derm PAs who are interested in publishing, that it doesn't have to be a daunting, intimidating process, and it shouldn't be. I'm sure Jennifer has really found that she enjoys it. She enjoys being involved in writing and peer reviewing, and it's meant to be a learning process. Peer review, it seems scary for somebody to know that other experts in your field, your peers, are critiquing your work. But it's there as a fail-safe to make sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and that once something goes to publication, it is as buttoned up and polished as it can be. And that is a great reflection on the author, great reflection on the peer review process. And it really just contributes to the prestige of the journal and the Derm PA community and their involvement in research and publication. Because as you well know, how would you know if you didn't read about it or see it? So really, when Jennifer is speaking about dissemination of knowledge as a main reason for Derm PAs to be published, that's what it is. Share your knowledge, get out of the shadows. If you see something in clinic, develop that sixth sense and always have it in the back of your mind, things that would be great to share with your peers and the larger audience or community.
So if you see a really interesting case in dermatology and medicine in general, we call it a zebra, like something that just doesn't match what you're expecting to see, then how do you document that? Do you take pictures? I guess that's always the case, but.
Sure, pictures, you've got to have pictures, right? Pictures make the article. So you also have to have the permission from the patient to publish that information, exactly. There's information in the journal about information for authors about sending in content. And so if you ever don't understand the requirements or how to format things, you can always contact Angela and we can always get that information to you. We do like case reports. We also like longer, more in-depth articles. But everybody loves to read the interesting cases. They're quick. You don't have to dedicate 20 minutes of your already busy day. So the case reports are fun, and everybody likes to see those zebras.
Sure, and for anybody who is wanting to dip their toe in the water of publishing, getting involved in submitting for publication consideration, a case report is a really great entry-level way to do that because, and I'm not a Derm PA. I'm obviously the managing editor, but working with Derm PA authors, it sounds like you are already writing that case report in your head while you're in clinic, while you're taking your notes and putting it all together. So really, you just need to put it all together and perhaps put it into context. And that's the extra work that it shouldn't be intimidating, that should be exhilarating to put it together.
Helping somebody else.
Yes, absolutely. And as Jennifer said, I am very approachable as the editor of the journal. You could send me a pre-submission query if somebody is interested in a certain topic, but they're not quite sure if it would be suitable for the journal. They could send a pre-submission inquiry and say, hey, I'm thinking about writing this. here's an abstract or an excerpt. Do you think this is something of interest to your readers? And I would be, I would review it, and Jennifer and I would have a conversation, and I'd say, I don't know, what do you think, Jennifer? And she would review it, and she would put it into context for me. I can see the larger picture of the editorial planning of the journal, and Jennifer can evaluate it based on what's going on in the real world of patient care.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jennifer, do you remember your first article you submitted?
Yes, it was a long time ago. And I submitted an article about working up pruritus to the JAPA. So it wasn't the JDPA that I initially, I don't think JDPA existed at that time. So I wrote it for the general PA audience, the family practice PA audience.
Do you remember having insecurities and feeling that imposter syndrome? Like, who am I to write this article? And
I think, everybody does. In fact, every now and then you just get a little, you get pulled up short and reminded that you don't know everything. As I said, I submitted an article, and it was on pruritus and the workup for pruritus, and I am very consistent, and I managed to misspell pruritus.
Oh no!
The entire every single time it appeared in the article, it was misspelled. So that the editor caught it.
Great.
Right?
Yes.
Thank goodness there's an editor.
Know that you're human.
And so we corrected it. Fortunately, we were able to correct it all at once. And that was really the only correction that I was required to make, and I was able to get published. So
That's wonderful.
I know.
And
but
now you're
thank
the
God there's
deputy
editors.
editor.
Right, exactly. So the other thing is I precept students, and I know a lot of Derm PAs precept students, and it's a fabulous thing for the student to be able to write something and get published. So it's a good way for them to also dip a toe in. They're still kind of in the writing mode. And so they're not maybe as intimidated by it as those of us that haven't done it in a while. So they're maybe more willing to, but
well, and it also doesn't have to be a solo endeavor. Somebody interested, they could, co-author with their supervising physician or, somebody that they work with, or meet
student and preceptor.
A student and preceptor. So the collaboration is another theme that I think runs through research and publishing.
Yeah. And I like how your approach is just try it. Just take that first step. You are very approachable.
Just get started, and really everything and everyone is here to support and help you. Nobody, the peer review process especially, it's not meant to tear you down. It's not meant to say, I can't believe that you had these misspellings and all of this.
Nobody harassed me about it.
Right. It is really, it's a genuine, it's a genuine passion for people who get involved, where they genuinely just want an article, a manuscript to be the best that it can be. So as we were talking in session today about common mistakes and things that peer reviewers look for, I will tell you that references is a big thing that they look for. They look for what's missing, which is really great to have that objective view after you've done all of the work. It's almost like you can't see past the tip of your nose. You've done all the work, and that's all you can do at that moment. So the reviewers are there. Jennifer is there to say, this paragraph is missing a few references. We're missing a discussion on alternate treatments that have been described in the literature. This case presentation, you're missing dosage information in your patient treatment section. So there's a lot of things that, the peer review process, people think like, oh, they're going to nitpick my article. It's like, yes, they are, and it's going to make it better.
It's going to make you a better writer.
It's going to make it make you a better writer, and it's going to help you develop that critical eye. So I would encourage Derm PAs to get involved in putting together a manuscript for publication consideration, but also think about volunteering as a peer reviewer to I mean, it's great to see kind of something before publication and knowing that you had a hand in the final product.
Yes, when it arrives in the mail, you had a role in that.
Yes, so you are reading this final piece and Jennifer might say, wow, that really did add to the discussion. That addition, those few references, asking them to flesh out the conclusion, it made it a lot better. And that's extremely rewarding.
Yes. And you brought up a good point earlier about this is not like a resume that you just send out to a bunch of different places, because I think for people who haven't written and submitted something, you just think, well, I'll just throw it out to everybody and see where it lands.
Yes. So another main message is to know the rules before you start submitting. And there is a lot of legwork involved in researching, every journal's information for authors and how they require you to submit a manuscript. But across the board, at least in peer review publishing, I can't speak for non-peer reviewed journals, you can only submit to one journal. That is something that when we get a submission, we ask and we make sure this is not under consideration anywhere else. This is an original submission.
But if you don't accept it, they're allowed to submit elsewhere.
Yes. And many Derm PA authors that I've talked to, they keep like a tracking sheet or a database of their submissions, when they were submitted, where they were submitted, and then their decisions, and that makes sense. They go from there. Another point about at least peer-reviewed publishing is that decision making is not black and white. And Jennifer can speak to this too. We're talking about the revision process. Well, it's not as black and white as hope your paper has been accepted or hope your paper has been rejected. There is that in between revision process.
A lot of back and forth. You may want to tweak this and let's add this table. Right.
We think it's good, but there's a couple things that we'd like to see. We have many peer reviewers, but we're always looking for more. The peer review process is not too time consuming, but everybody's busy. And so the more peer reviewers we have available for Angela to submit, the more opportunities to spread it out and have lots of different people's eyes on it. We're not reusing the same reviewers all the time.
Yes.
And we're also trying to customize a peer reviewer with their areas of interest and match manuscripts to their areas of interest. So if something comes in on cosmetics and lasers, I have a database that
Don't
says,
send it
to Jennifer.
Right.
That makes sense. I think you've taken away a lot of the intimidation factor. So I hope our listeners will consider submitting or becoming a peer reviewer.
That'd be fabulous.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.